Hello, everybody. This is the 2021 candidate for governor of Virginia, Merle Rutledge. And of course, I had a great time going out to Richmond, what I call my promises made and promises kept. And I had a great time with Kurt Santini. He's running for Virginia Lieutenant Governor for 2021. And we were supposed to have this nice little rally and speak out at, of course, the state capitol grounds in Richmond, Virginia. But, of course, Northam the Rat decided to make sure that couldn't happen. And there's no logical or legitimate reason for it other than the fact that it looks like our lawmakers are scared of the people. That's what it looks like to me. And I'm ashamed of all that type of stuff that's going on up there in Richmond at the state capitol, where you are supposed to be able to go to your government and their officials for redress of your grievances. But obviously, they didn't like that. So I get a message from Kurt Santini. He's saying we're going over to the Lee statue off of Monument Ave at the site of basically where there's nothing but graffiti on Robert E. Lee's statue, and pretty much people taking pictures, having a great time, celebrating. And of course, there's a lot of hostility because you got the Black Lives Matter crowd, you got those who are there to protect the statue, and then you got those who are just there to fan the flames. And that's what it boils down to. So then we come to find out the day before, some protesters got ran over by a vehicle. We don't know what is all behind that. The only thing we do know from certain people that are familiar with the matter, that somebody ran over somebody, and now that person is held without bail. Now, this is the thing about it. It takes a lot of balls. I said this to Kurt Santini directly, for you to switch over from the state capitol and then right now be where the sharks is at. In other words, where the protesters is at. Basically where people are against exactly what you're trying to do. But when you have the fortitude, when you had the bravery, when you had the courage to walk across the aisle and be present and speak to people who may not agree with your philosophy or your reasoning, that's what you call a tough Republican. That's what you call not a politician. That's what you call somebody standing up on the same grounds, on the same territory, in the same backyard or front yard with the protesters, letting them know exactly where you stand on Republican values, on our creed, on your positions and views, and also saying exactly how you feel about what's going on at that statue. Now, I get there and I arrive. Kurt Santini is I don't know what's up with him, to be honest with you, but it made me proud. He was talking to people from all different walks of life, of different backgrounds, regardless of who they are, and taking them on question for question, view for view. Whether somebody was pro-abortion, he was still pro-life. Whether somebody was against guns, he was still for protecting the right to defend yourself from all enemies, foreign or domestic. When it came down to walking to different groups that may not have the same philosophy as you, he was open to the conversation. He didn't duck. He didn't dodge. He stood his ground the same way my philosophy is in law. I want people to stand their ground whenever somebody decides to go ahead and go against them. It's the right thing to do for America and for this country. I can tell you off the break, Kurt Santini is probably one of the realest people out there that's Republican, that loves all people, but will not compromise his position at all for anybody else. But he will stick his ground and show you the respect and courtesy that you deserve. Discussion. Now, as we get to the Lee statue, as we walk the crowd, we talk to voter registration on one side. Then we talk to the LGBT community on their side. And then we talk to the bikers that decide to ride up, locked and loaded, and have a great views on the statute. And of course, they are trying to keep law and order because, of course, the Richmond police have been told to stand down. But one thing we got in common from every single person that we talk to, they do not like career politicians. I can say that part. They say each one keeps coming there trying to put on a show, try to put on a gimmick, try to do whatever. And they wasn't talking about Republicans at that time frame because Republicans wasn't really there. They was talking about the Democrats like Justin Fairfax, Mayor Stoney, the Richmond mayor, and which is funny because they had a story for his punk ass, and I'm going to call that story out. Now, they said that this SOB, the one leading the monument removal or whatever in Richmond, along with Northam and the 3 Amigo clans. Now, they said that he walked for a half a mile in the protest, then gets into a police car, which drives him the rest of that mile, and then flies off like he did his nice little show. Now, obviously, people took offense to that, which I find was funny, because they're like, now we got these politicians, these career politicians, the ones who need term limits, riding around trying to use this as the next campaign pitch or campaign, commercial. That's what came out of it. So when they saw Merle Rutledge and Kurt Santini both saying we ain't politicians, because we're not. We real people talking to real people, finding out your positions, your views, and then, of course, confronting those that are in conflict with ours, but making sure, we are in the best interest of Virginia and this country. And we will work across the aisle without compromise and make sure we get the job done in the best interest of the Commonwealth of Virginia, compared to the best interest of lining pockets by those politicians. Now, as we get towards about 4 o'clock at this time period, we had some business we had to handle. So the bikers, which was locked and loaded, said, we got microphones if y'all want to go up there and speak. Now, I was expecting Kurt Santini to say, maybe this ain't a good idea, because we are right now where the sharks is at, and they smelling blood, and they thirsty for hate. Others are just thirsty for seeing drama, and others are there just seeing what is happening to their great city of Richmond. Now, Kurt Santini didn't hesitate. We walked right up to the steps, right there at the Lee statue, where no other politician go, because they so busy being at the state capitol grounds, being protected by the state capitol police. So they are not worried about anything happening to them, because they got armed guards who they try to make sure protects them, while the rest of their citizens go without any kind of protection. But they claim that we need gun control, but they are the ones who are picking and choosing who has the guns and who has the control. Think about that statement. Now, as we get up there, Kurt Santini unloads. He lets them know the importance of history. He lets them know he's running as a Republican, where I'm pretty sure there's a bunch of liberals all in the crowd as well. And he held his ground and did not compromise that history should be protected. After that, I get on the stage and I unload, because I said, I'm not coming up here to fake with y'all and make you think what y'all doing is acceptable. We are here to protect history, just like we are here to protect all backgrounds history, because what you may find as a moment of pleasure is a lifetime of pain for your ancestors and your history that you think the government is not going to touch. So we hit the home run right there at that time period, letting them know, number one, we are not politicians, we are patriots. Number one, we're not Democrats or liberals, we are Republicans, and we ain't changing how we view things or how we speak about things or how we protect things, because we love our country too much for your political